We've got an awesome panel coming up. And I think even our most colourful panel, which is so nice to see. Please welcome our next panel who'll be talking about the intersection of NFTs and DeFi.
It's not even for a debaser. We're just going to take a selfie and then go on stage. Okay.
All our speakers have changed.
Okay.
That is very
Oh, sorry. Who has a
Ayesha
longer?
is here.
Oh, wow. That's such a...
Sorry.
No, we're not even sorry, so... Yeah, we look like we are. Okay.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Oh, so we're just going to pass the mic?
We're just going to pass the mic.
Okay.
Awesome. I have one. Here's another one.
I believe there's one more.
Hey! Whoa. Yeah, I'll move closer.
Good afternoon. My name is Oz Sultan. I'm on the board of XRSI. I do a lot of tokenomic work, and I've been at the intersection of NFTs and DeFis for a while. We've got a huge panel of luminaries today. I'm going to allow them to each do their own introduction, which is a little bit more insightful, I think. But I mean, if you guys want, I could. But it's probably more of a LinkedIn type synopsis. So why don't we start on the end?
I'm Ioana Surpateanu. Hi, nice to meet you, everyone. Can you hear me okay? I know everyone is tired, and I know there are a bunch of events happening in parallel, so we're going to try to make this as dynamic as possible so you won't be sorry that you're here. So like I said, I'm Ioana Surpateanu. I have a background in traditional finance. I was at Citigroup doing crypto for almost 4 years. Then I moved fully into DeFi, working with an open source / decentralized Oracle provider. And I've subsequently decided to expand my interest and portfolio, and I'm now supporting a variety of projects in the Web3 and metaverse space. A data monetization platform, Swash, which is one of the projects that I'm going to be taking a C-level role in as of tomorrow. A Web3 gaming platform, Crypto Walkers, and a decentralized finance launchpad, Pulse Finance, and I could go on, but I don't want to monopolize the discussion. And yeah, let's kick off the discussion. Let's be real and honest about NFTs, what they represent, what roadblocks we have with them, and what we need to solve, because there are so many. Over to you.
Thank you, Ioana. So impressive. And yes, you could forever go on and still, keep adding to the achievements. I'm Kavya Pearlman. I am the founder and CEO of XR Safety Initiative, XRSI. It's a nonprofit. We are a global nonprofit. Our mission is to help build safety and inclusion in the metaverse. We want to, and we aspire to, build standards and define what good looks like in the metaverse. Why should we be the right people? So I'll talk a little bit about my background. Back in 2016, that's how as far as I'm going, maybe a little bit farther. I used to be a hairstylist back in like 2012, decided to do masters in network security. Fast forward, found myself doing third-party security advisory for Facebook during 2016 election time. That was like one of the biggest epiphany is when we ignore privacy, security, and standardization, what kind of a shit could happen, and you could literally lose democracy and create and engineer events. Now we are facing this convergence of all kinds of technologies. So right after Facebook, I was the head of security for Linden Lab. Anybody heard of Second Life? The oldest existing virtual world. So I was basically tackling with lots of these financial related cybersecurity specific challenges, which I now have the opportunity to lean on those experiences and people like Oz Sultan, who are like, Oz is literally our metaverse economic advisor. So I bring in lots and lots of expertise, people together to stay ahead of what could go wrong. We literally are the people who look at the shit show, run towards it, figure out how we could mitigate some of these things from going wrong. So over to you, Ayesha.
I wish I was as exciting as these two. I work at Ledger Prime. We're a multi-strat hedge fund. And in past 8 months alone, we've invested in projects that are building liquidity, moving it from DeFi to NFT side. So have some perspective on, the derivatives of it, how the borrow and lend is changing for NFTs. Aside from Ledger Prime, I also teach blockchain at NYU Tandon. And if we're talking about backgrounds, I've actually been very fortunate to see CryptoKitties, being launched in front of me. I was a very early employee at Consensus. So I've been very fortunate enough to see how NFTs have grown in past 6 years.
That's excellent. So I believe all of you are familiar with the UST crash, which took a good chunk of the market down. As we kind of look at where we're moving future forward with this, because we've got crypto hedge funds really moving heavily into this, we've got NFTs being utilized for lending situations now. There's questions about things like the Anchor protocol and the opportunity for that to happen again inside of the NFT space. From each of your perspectives, both investing and policy, what do you think we can do to prevent that kind of stuff as all of this starts to grow up?
You're bringing on the heavier artillery. I didn't know we were going to discuss UST and Anchor and retail investors basically being greedy. I believe that at the end of the day, we have a fundamental problem. People are attracted by the space. It is new. It is trendy. You have all of the terminology. People want to be involved in it. They don't understand that being involved in Web3, metaverse, crypto presupposes a particular and very substantial level of education and also a type of non-greedy behavior, because I find it, and respectfully, foolish, and I've seen it a lot across the space, for people to invest all of their savings into DeFi protocols. We're still at very early stages. I was going to go back to defining what I feel how I define NFTs, how I define DeFi, where I feel the intersection coalesces. But let's tackle this before, and then we'll go there. So we're at early stages. We're still building. There are so many infrastructural issues that we need to solve, right? So you may have heard today, and you will definitely hear tomorrow and throughout the week, you may have heard the open metaverse ideal, right? The whole ecosystem where you can port value and avatars, assets, everything seamlessly cross-entity into a permissible and open economic system. Well, that is a great ideal. We're very far from that reality today, and the reason why we're very far from that reality today is because the infrastructure doesn't exist to enable that to happen. And yeah, we could discuss what those roadblocks are. They mostly relate to, for instance, NFT metadata storage, standards around NFTs, what you actually own, what IP do you hold, what commercial rights do you hold when you hold an NFT. Again, where you store your metadata, what the liability on the third party storing your metadata is. Then if we're going to be moving value seamlessly across entity, I'm pretty sure the SEC, the CFTC, and a bunch of other regulators across the world are going to be looking at that value transfer and thinking, okay, what financial laws apply here, right? Is the money transmitter thing, etc. And if you speak to developers, which I do a lot, they will tell you that currently that interoperability and portability doesn't really exist. So you actually need to go to the back end.
Yeah, in gaming, we call that the holy grail.
Exactly, right? But it's an ideal to move toward. I guess the problem is that we have these market crashes and projects that are valuable are caught in them, and then all those things are not being built as they should be. So I guess to answer your question, what we should do to prevent that is learn, educate, be humble, okay? We're not experts. We're people who are in the space learning every day. We're not experts. We're not leaders. Let's be humble and build the base layer, the necessary infrastructure to support all of these ideals, and be less greedy, I would say.
That's great. Kavya, from a policy perspective, how do you think we should start addressing these things?
So first of all, I'm going to be a little bit honed in towards the safety and inclusion aspect.
Absolutely.
Because I'm truly passionate about those two keywords. I second that, awareness and education. I want to raise a very critical question here. How many NFT crypto conferences have people been to? and how many conversations out of which were about cybersecurity or safety? And how much did you learn out of it? So I think
By a show of hands, if we could say, how many of y'all have seen something about cyber at any of these conferences over the course of the past year?
And how many headlines have we heard regularly? Wallets getting hacked, phishing, all these other very, very critical threats that are realizing, but none of those conferences are addressing these issues. I'm specifically asking this question because we must get ahead of it. In the metaverse, everything is code. Code is hackable. So we got to be aware of the risk. So earlier you were asking, how are we going to get ahead of it? We must understand the kind of risk that we are incurring. And I'm going to supplement these questions that I'm raising with the solutions that I'm personally interested in building. So XRSI is putting together a very basic baseline standard that will help the NFT community, the metaverse community. Here are the top 10 sins you must not commit as a collector. Here are the top 10 sins you must not commit as a creator. Any new person, and then we will go into advanced things. So I think this kind of a proactive, stay ahead of the risk kind of a approach is needed. And then I want to bring back the things, people that you've connected us to. So UCC. UCC is an organization.
That's the Universal Commercial Code, which basically underlies all of the laws in the United States. Sorry, uniform. I have cancer.
Code.
My brain goes.
But I think I just want to add one thing to it. The reason is that the reason you even see hacks, and yes, NFTs are very prone to it, is because everything is built on Web 2. It's all on AWS. Like even OpenSea, the largest marketplace, still is not on IPFS. So I think that's if you're sitting here talking about tech, that needs to get addressed first. So, and I'm assuming that, day like today or tomorrow, a lot of people would have brought this up that we're building on IPFS. But I think that needs to get solved before you even, but yeah, cybersecurity obviously being the largest risk for all around.
Totally. And so we are basically, what you're saying is we're inheriting all the risks that already exist in Web 2. And we haven't even solved them. People not even aware of the new risks that are emerging. So we need to address that. And so with UCC, where I was going with is we're advising UCC and another entity in Europe to potentially influence laws. These laws are currently being built and put in place, which will impact all of you. And so what we're doing is we're bringing in multidisciplinary perspective to add to that these laws are pragmatic. You want to hear something crazy? One of the proposition in one of these laws is that if the NFT gets hacked, the hacker gets to keep it. Let that sink in for a second. If I'm the hacker and I know the NFT costs like $2 million, I'm probably going to spend about half that just to try to hack that thing. And that is not a very pragmatic law to put in place. And these are the kind of things that we cannot, when we say governance by the people, this is where we're kind of trying to add value, is tech policy. Influence these ecosystems so they really think about what is the end game impact on the creators when they put these laws in place.
Now, Ayesha,
code is one thing, but code is law, right? Code is law. So if I know firsthand people who've lost their apes on OpenSea, and whoever hacked it just said, I own the smart contract right now. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So Ethereum Foundation isn't going to call them and say that, transfer it between two. At the end of the day, that's the issue. That's a value prop that smart contracts is trying to propose, on the larger scale. So
yeah, I just want to add a couple of things for clarity. So first of all, not all solutions, not everything when it comes to NFT is being built on Web 2. Not at all. Obviously, the major marketplaces are Web 2, but you have decentralized computing solutions. There are many
Which
things.
Ones? I'm actually very curious because we as a fund and as personally, I invested in Definity, and that was a promise that they were offering.
Yeah, and also it's not just IPFS, it's Filecoin. So it's not that gloomy, right?
IPFS is Filecoin.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
No,
is.
no,
That's
no, it's
the
not,
tech
but I mean-
that they use. That's
No,
the tech
no,
they
but
use.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
But
to go into-
as investors, let me ask
Yeah.
you, how do you guys look at the perspective of, because a lot of these companies, you're saying, they're launching Web3 products and Web2 protocols.
So
How do you evaluate that? And then also, there's a question that I think a lot of NFT collectors have. What if they didn't pay for the IPFS hosting for more than 10 years?
So the issue with IPF hosting is like, first of all, either it's IPFS, which Filecoin uses, or RV. Those are the only two solutions that OpenSea or Rarible or anyone can offer at this point. The reason we're not there that yet is because they cannot handle the kind of volume that OpenSea transactional volume it goes through. And as investors, like, I mean, this is where even the Terra hack also comes in. We have started seeing basically all of these borrow and lends fully collateralized. So if we're checking the code on the back end side and seeing like if this, if it's being audited and whatnot, then we're also checking the collateral demands. So that's where the market currently is headed towards. I mean, if you'll talk to anyone at OpenSea or Andreessen walking around like today or tomorrow, this is the value prop that they keep going back to. That first we have to move these marketplaces out of Web 2 solutions to Web 3 in order to make them fully decentralized. But yeah, that's where hacks come in. That's why anyone can claim someone's mutant ape and have literally no say on it. So yeah.
Yeah, I disagree. So first of all, there are also Web3 solutions for hosting. I don't know if you've heard of NFT42. They're creating an on-chain hosting solution for NFT. I mean, the standard should be hosting everything on-chain, but obviously there are issues with cost and transactions, et cetera, and it's super expensive. And I wanted to go back to what you were saying, that NFTs were hacked. That's interesting, right? Because sometimes what do you actually hack? Do you hack the URL link that leads you to the metadata, and then the metadata is hosted, I don't know, either on chain or in a bunch of decentralized or non-decentralized third-party servers? So what do you actually own? And I think, again, we're at incipient level. We probably should have Web 2. We probably should have centralized entities that can reverse that, right? I mean, I would want to. If I hold my, super million worthy NFT on OpenSea, then I would want OpenSea to intervene and give it back to me. But I get your point. Yeah. I mean, moving towards that ideal of full decentralization, accessible, open economic system, we need to have these things sorted out. I completely agree with that.
We've got a couple minutes left. I wanted to redirect back to the DeFi question, right? We've seen this before with crypto, and we saw what just happened with Celsius. And a lot of this kind of comes down to locking up things, and people are very reticent to lock up their expensive NFTs, even for a loan or to utilize them for things. But they have, they have the collateralization capability to create a whole bunch of asset-backed new commodities. Where do you guys see the market going with this, specifically as we come out of the bear market in the next few months, and as there's just a lot of question from a lot of people about the future?
So the issue with NFT collateralization is that the market isn't as big as DeFi was, because it was 300 billion to as not even compared to 50 billion. That's at max what OpenSea probably gives you on most days. So scale is smaller. That's why we're almost not there yet. Now, let's say if Solana launches NFTs, all of the Avalanche launches, we may get to that kind of scale. Then, yes, history could repeat itself. Obviously, it will happen. But I think given the limited scale and given the limited capability of what the limited number of projects are offering this, I think we're a few years out of that.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Kavya?
Yeah. So I'm waiting for a particular moment where all of these Facebook, talking about Instagram NFTs, specifically talking about NFT. And I want to talk to those people who sometimes shout out NFTs are dead, or NFT this, or NFT bubble is going to pop and stuff. We are basically at a 7 a.m. on a Monday, and whereas the whole week is like yet to get started when it comes to NFT. Maybe we're barely waking up. That's where we are. So when all these, big tech organizations jump in, the one thing we need to make sure they follow the decentralization model when they introduce these NFT. These are virtual objects. that will play the key role of provenance in the metaverse. We'll be able to track our clothing, our identity. Everything depends on this non-fungible token technologies from that perspective. Yes, there'll be other tech, but that's what I'm waiting for. And I think that's what kind of gives me hope. Like we saw the economical players come out and be like, hey, NFT. Now we need to see what kind of game are these big tech corporations who are literally eyeing this space, the intersection of DeFi and NFT, what are they going to do? And I think that's my hope, that once they make things so seamlessly, stupidly easy, there is going to be such a revolution. And this is where we need to influence them to stay decentralized.
Ioana, if you wanted to
I'll
add
wrap
to
it
that,
up.
and then maybe we'll move to closing comments.
Awesome. So let's go back to the definition. What is a basic definition of an NFT? Digital property of the internet. What is DeFi? Again, basic definition. Disintermediated, decentralized financial ecosystem on the internet. So organically, if you own a property, if you own digital property on the internet, you would use DeFi, right, as opposed to using TradFi services. So I actually am extremely bullish on the DeFi NFT combo. I think we're going to see a lot of, again, when the market potentially goes back to some acceptable level, staking, using NFTs as collateral, NFTs fractionalization. We need to have more platforms that start offering scalable and sustainable services when it comes to NFT fractionalization. I do, and many others, right? We do still have a fundamental problem when it comes to DeFi and NFT symbiosis, and that is the fact that NFTs are fragmented. Again, I'm going back to the storage angle. Data around NFTs is fragmented. Some people hold, well, some investors hold NFTs in their digital wallets. Some NFTs are stored on platforms, etc. So in order to have that almost seamless combination with DeFi, which is a Lego-like ecosystem, Lego-like system, you need to bring some structure around NFTs. And actually with one of the projects that I was working with before, we were looking at doing exactly that. It was an Oracle provider, and we were looking at creating a structure around NFT data so that you could easily integrate it with DeFi protocols and decentralized applications. And I've seen lately a bunch of oracles are now ingesting and providing floor price for NFTs so that it could be used in DeFi applications. I think we're going to see an increase of that. Again, the market needs to mature a little bit. We probably need that this market cleanup to move away from the artificial things that are being built. But no, I'm completely bullish on DeFi and NFT symbiosis. And one more thing we need to fix is the rarity calculation models for NFTs.
That is a huge. We were just talking about that. That's a huge. Okay. That's a whole. We would do a whole panel on that, and then guild economics and how that's a Ponzi scheme. But closing comments from both of y'all.
I hope projects like Kavya's come into fruition, because even when we're looking to invest in NFT infrastructure, anything NFT related, security is the first thing we look for. I know the market is very immature for that, so I hope that comes into fruition.
Thank you so much, and I thank every one of you who wishes to support XRSI. One thing you can do simply to support, we are creating a point of reflection during December. So from 10th of December, Human Rights Day, to 15th of December, we've created Metaverse Safety Week, metaversesafetyweek.org. Go there, submit your NFT. If your NFT is somehow creating security awareness, safety, children's safety, any kind of an inception of an idea that talks about these inclusivity, safety solutions, please submit it there, be a part of that week, and tell your community that we support safety, and that's how you want to lead. That's how you could even differentiate yourself. So that's my message to you, is please support this cause. It is all for us.
I fully support that, and I will personally support you on that. I actually have a message for the retail investors here. I know people are excited about NFTs, obviously. That's why we see the masses of people at this conference. What I want to say to you is be reasonable, learn about what you want to invest in, and try to look out for projects that have actual utility. Like I've said throughout the panel conversation, there are so many things that still need to be built, especially on the infrastructure side. There's so many projects that are doing just that, but just try to understand what the ecosystem is all about and focus on those projects that actually bring utility as opposed to just a plethora of NFT collections being launched every day for no reason or with no utility.
Yeah, but I'd like to just hear a closing point from the crypto hedge fund perspective.
That what from
Where are we going? What's next?
we're going into collateralization. We're going into fractionalization. We're going into multi-chain, same copy repeat NFTs. We're seeing a lot more retail adoptability, but we're seeing NFTs not as an art. NFTs like, let's say, trading points or your Amex points or travel points, things like that, utility. So that's where the next cycle is headed.
Also, I just want to say thank you for moderating. A few of you may have noticed our moderator was supposed to be Ben, who potentially, I think, is still checking if he has COVID. He wanted to keep you guys protected. So Oz jumped in and just wanted to moderate. And
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
That was great.